So today is the day that all of you have been waiting for. We're going to be tackling headstands. So don't worry, I know that sounds super intimidating, but we're going to take it one step at a time, just like everything else. And at the very least, you'll know kind of the next steps to follow in order to get yourself there. So we're going to meet in a down dog at the top of our mat. So let's get started. Okay, so we're going to start in down dog. So lean onto the hands, tuck the toes under, and find downward facing. Give that out the legs a few times. We're going to hold here for a little while. Not too long, but a few breaths. So what I want you to do, just to kind of warm up the backs of the legs, one of the things that I think is really important for coming up into headstand is flexibility in the backs of the legs, because it really helps your range of motion when you're pressing up. So the heels may not be touching the floor, and if that's the case, I want you to bend the right knee deeply and press the left heel all the way down. So try to get it as close to the floor as you can. So you're pushing really strongly into both palms, relaxing the head and the neck, and just feel that stretch down the back of the left leg. And continue to breathe. Try to relax the neck, relax the shoulders. If the left heel is on the floor now, I want you to keep it there, so keep the foot flat, but put a little bend in the left knee, so you get more of a stretch in the back of the leg. Take a couple more breaths. And on an inhale, come to the center. So everything's even. We're going to go to the right side. So bend the left knee deeply and press the right heel down until it touches the floor or until it gets pretty close. So if it doesn't touch the floor, that's fine. Don't worry about it. Just keep lengthening down the back of that leg and allowing the heel to sink down. If the right heel is touching the floor, keep it there, but put a little bend in the right knee, just enough to feel it deeper into the calf, but not enough so that it comes off the mat. So take a few breaths. Gradually straighten both legs. Pedal them out. Right and left. Push evenly into the hands and settle in. On your next inhale, shift the weight forward to plank. And exhale, slowly press down between the elbows. Knees can be down or up. On an inhale, come up to cobra or up dog. Exhale, take it back, downward facing. Press the heels down towards the floor. Take a few breaths. On your next breath, take the left foot all the way up to the hands. Drop the right knee down and sit the hips down. So just let the hips be really heavy. You can let the arms relax, or if you want, you can take them up overhead. Either way, let that right hip get nice and heavy, relaxing the right leg, letting the hips drop down. Take a couple more breaths. And on an exhale, take both hands to the inside of the left foot. And you can just lean on the hands here if you want to. If you do need a little bit more, remember you can always drop down to the forearms. So keep the back nice and flat. Keep reaching the sternum forward. So try not to let the chest cave in. You don't want to collapse the upper body. Keep reaching forward. Take a couple breaths here. And just allow the hips to soften, especially that right leg. Relax the top of the right leg. And gradually start to press into the hands. Let both hands frame that left foot, so walk the left foot back to the center and step back to down dog, lifting the tailbone high. Pedal out the legs a couple times if you want. And then go ahead and step the right foot forward as well. So the left knee drops down. You can either rest the hands on the right thigh and just lift the chest straight up, or you can stretch the arms up, let the tailbone drop down. Keep softening that left leg. Find one point to focus on. Breathe. And take 2 more inhales. And with that last exhale, take both hands down to the inside of the right foot. So remember your options. First, make sure that right knee is over the ankle or over the toes. And you can definitely stay here, but if you want a little more, you can come down to the forearms. Make sure you don't cave the chest in. Keep reaching the sternum forward, letting the left hip drop. Take one more breath. And gradually press onto the hands. Walk the right toes forward so that everything faces in front of you. Frame the foot, step up and back, downward facing dog. Pedal out the legs a few times again. And on an inhale, come forward. Coming down to the knees, you can sit back on the heels. I just want you to sit up. So there are certainly so many things that you can do to prep for headstand. There are different strengthening exercises for the shoulders like we did yesterday, or more stretches to kind of increase flexibility in the legs. So if you're not warm enough and you feel a little bit like you could use more, feel free to go back and do any of the other days that we did prior to this one. But if you just want the basics of going up into headstand, that's what we'll tackle now. So what I would like you to do is just take a couple moments and make sure that this is something that you're comfortable with. So there's always, I'll say, a healthy level of fear if you're doing something for the first time, especially like headstand. So a few things that I want you to know. If you have any type of like recent rotator cuff injury, like in the shoulder or in the neck, if you have glaucoma, if your blood pressure is too low or too high often, you're probably going to be better off just sitting this one out. Now, there are plenty of other like more mild inversions, like sitting with your legs up a wall, or just taking child's pose, or continuing to stretch the same way that we did. So you can always take those options. If you are ready to go into a headstand, I'm going to give you 3 tips that I think are really, really essential when learning this one, especially for the first couple times. So the first thing is where the pressure on the head is going to go. Now, I'm just going to say that this is not completely scientific and official or anything, but it will give you a good general guideline, give or take, for where the pressure on the head goes. So, are you ready? Okay. We're going to take the right hand to make an L. And it's already good, right? So if you make an L with the right hand, the thumb is going to come to the nose. And I want you to keep it there and then just stretch the index finger back. Now, the index finger lands probably behind your hairline, but not quite in the center of the head, right? So like I said, give or take a little bit, that is a good indication of where the pressure is going to go. So it's going to vary for everybody. It's going to be a little bit different, maybe on that spot, maybe a little bit further back or further forward. So that's about where the pressure is going to go. The next thing that you want to keep in mind is where the elbows go. So I like to interlace my fingers so that I have this kind of a little basket here. And we'll come down. So once the fingers are interlaced, you're going to bring that area of the head down, the one that you found earlier, and then instead of just collapsing the chest forward, I know it's tempting because you want to lean on the head, but instead of just leaning on the crown of the head, I want you to push into the forearms and activate the shoulders so that the shoulder blades kind of slide down the back, so that there's very little pressure in the head. So I barely have any pressure on the crown of my head. So that's what you're looking for. So once that part is set up, you can tuck the toes under and start to walk the feet in as close as you can. So it's going to feel like you're going to tip over, kind of the point. So if your legs are pretty flexible, you can take one up, maybe just float the other up. And if you hit the wall or the door that you're in front of, that's okay. Energizing through both feet. If your legs are not that flexible, I want you to avoid heaving your body up into the air. So I don't want you to jump really hard into a headstand ever, because you don't want to roll the neck. So if your legs aren't super flexible and you can't just step up into it, you can tuck the knees into the chest. Think like a little cannonball. So keeping in that same position, you can walk the feet in really close and just take the feet in, hugging the knees in close, and then maybe stretching them up. So once you step down from wherever you are, you can find child's pose. So feet together, knees wide, walk the arms out, relax the head down. So anytime you come down from an inversion, whether it's headstand or anything else, it's a really good idea just to take rest for a few moments. And you can hold your headstand for as long as you want, so don't feel like you have to come down right away. Take a couple breaths here. And start to slow the breath down. And gradually walk the hands back in, finding a comfortable seat. Sitting evenly on both hips. Let the shoulders relax back and down. And take a few breaths where you are. On an inhale, sweep the arms up overhead. Bringing the palms together, exhale the hands right down to the heart center, sealing in your practice. And let the eyes open. Namaste. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I hope that was fun. Come on back tomorrow. We're actually going to be doing something restorative again. So something a little bit calmer to kind of ease us into the rest of the week.